Welcome to Lost Relation Chronicles. My name is Brittany, and I was married to my husband Vincent for 5 years. Our marriage was what many would call picture perfect. We had 2 wonderful children, a beautiful home, and a love that others admired. Vincent was everything a partner should be: hardworking, trustworthy, compassionate, dependable, and even obedient in the best way. I truly believed I was the luckiest woman alive to have him by my side, but one reckless, thoughtless night changed everything. I never imagined myself capable of such a terrible mistake, yet it happened, and now all I have left is regret. It all started with a simple party, a casual gathering, something any normal person could attend without issue. But that night I let go. I drank too much, and in my intoxicated state, my judgment disappeared. By the time I woke up the next morning, my entire life had changed. That night I betrayed Vincent in the worst way imaginable. Since then, every day has felt like a never-ending nightmare. I wish I could turn back time and undo it all, but I can't. Now I'm left wondering if my life will ever be the same again. Although Vincent and I didn't attend the same college, we met during our university years. There was no grand, dramatic love story, just an ordinary day on campus when he kindly helped me find a book. From that moment, his kindness, selflessness, and polite nature stood out. He was a true gentleman. We started dating a few months later, and everything felt right, as if we were meant to be together. Vincent always gave me the sense that he would be there to protect me no matter what. People naturally trusted him. He had that kind of presence. With his calm demeanor, strong moral compass, and warm, endearing smile, he was admired by many. I could hardly believe that someone like him had chosen to be with me. Shortly after we graduated from college, we got married. It wasn't a grand affair. We kept it small, inviting only those closest to us. But it was a beautiful day filled with happiness and the promise of bright days ahead. Our married life began without much fuss. We bought a modest home that we both loved, and Vincent worked tirelessly to provide for us. He put in every effort to ensure that we never lacked anything. When we had our first child, we made the mutual decision that I would stay home to raise our family. Our marriage was built on trust and respect. We supported each other in everything from career aspirations to personal struggles. Vincent was my rock, never once complaining or showing signs of weakness, even when life threw challenges our way. He was the kind of husband who would make me coffee in the morning, remember important dates, and leave little notes of affection for me to find throughout the day. For years, our life felt like a dream. We were blessed with 2 wonderful children, a boy and a girl. Weekends were spent at the park, playing games or curled up on the couch watching movies together. Vincent was the best father I had ever seen, patient, playful, and completely devoted to our kids. But as the years passed, life became busier. Vincent's job demanded more and more of his time, and I took on the full responsibility of managing the household and raising the children. The endless cycle of work, chores, and childcare left little time for us as a couple. Our conversations became less about our emotions and more about everyday logistics, schedules, bills, and the kids' needs. Looking back, I now realize that this was when the first cracks in our relationship began to appear. They were subtle at first, barely noticeable, but they were there. Date nights became rare, and meaningful conversations were few and far between. As incredible as Vincent was, he wasn't always the most expressive when it came to his emotions. He carried the weight of providing for our family silently, never wanting to burden me with his stress. And while I admired his strength, I also began to feel lonely. I missed the deep connection we once had, the way we used to laugh, dream, and truly see each other. But instead of confronting those feelings, I buried them. I convinced myself that this was just the reality of marriage, that this was how things were supposed to be. After a few years, I sometimes found myself feeling angry with Vincent. We saw each other so rarely, and I resented the fact that he didn't seem to notice. He believed his only duty was to provide for the family, as if that alone was enough. But I wanted more from him, More time, more effort, more presence, and he never seemed to understand that. Our relationship had fallen into a dull, monotonous routine. We were more like roommates than partners, merely sharing a home without truly sharing our lives. As the distance between us grew, I started to question whether Vincent still loved me. He never stopped being reliable. He would drop everything if I needed him, but something about his presence felt different. He still told me, "I love you" every night before bed, still kiss me good morning every day. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. I just didn't know how to fix it. I wish I could say that I tried to repair what was breaking between us, that I sought out ways to bring us closer again. But the truth is, I didn't. I let the loneliness settle in, and instead of turning to Vincent for comfort, I withdrew. I kept reassuring myself that eventually we would find our way back to each other, that this was just a rough patch, something we would overcome. After all, where else would he go? I hate to admit it now, but I took Vincent for granted. I believed he would always be there, steady and unshaken, no matter what. The night that changed everything started off as an ordinary one. We had been invited to a friend's birthday party weeks earlier, a simple gathering at their home. It was the first opportunity in a long time for Vincent and me to go out together without the kids. But at the last minute, a work emergency came up and Vincent couldn't make it. He told me I should still go since we had already arranged for a sitter. I figured it might be a good way to relieve some of the stress I had been carrying. The house was packed with familiar faces, laughter echoing through every corner, the scent of barbecue filling the air. I was weighed down by the exhaustion of parenting, the repetitive cycle of my daily routine, and the growing emotional distance between Vincent and me, so I headed straight for the drinks. I poured myself a glass of wine. One glass became 2, then 3. Before I knew it, I had lost track of how much I had consumed. I wasn't much of a drinker, but that night, something inside me unraveled. It felt liberating, like I was letting go of everything that had been weighing me down. Vincent's best friend Russell was at the party too. He had always been attractive, effortlessly charming in a way that made it impossible not to notice him. No matter the occasion, he had a natural way of drawing people in. He had been a part of our lives for years, a laid-back, easygoing presence, someone who could always make people laugh. His bond with Vincent was strong, built on years of trust and friendship. There's no point in denying it now. I had always had fleeting thoughts about Russell. I knew they were inappropriate, but I couldn't stop myself from wondering what it would be like to kiss him, to feel his hands on me. That night, I spent more time talking to Russell than usual. The alcohol made me bolder, made me more open. He listened intently, asked me questions, and cracked jokes that made me laugh in a way I hadn't in a long time. There was something about the way he looked at me that made me feel understood. Something I hadn't felt with Vincent in what seemed like forever. I was too drunk to fully grasp the mess I was creating. Yet deep down, I think a part of me knew exactly what I was doing. The alcohol didn't make the decision for me. It just gave me the courage to go through with it. The details of that night are a blur. Fragmented pieces of laughter, music, and reckless choices blending together. I remember Russell handing me another drink, his fingers lingering against mine just a moment too long. I remember the way he complimented me, the way it made my heart race even when I knew it shouldn't. I followed Russell into the room without hesitation. He didn't ask me to stop, and I didn't stop myself. It felt like I was running on autopilot, the alcohol dulling the voice inside my head that should have told me to turn back. What happened next is a haze. Flashes of a night I can't fully piece together. The ripping off of our clothes, the hard kisses, and the sex. There was no love in it, no meaning. Just sex. Even in my drunken state, I knew it was wrong. But in that moment, it felt too good to stop. I was betraying Vincent, the man who had given me everything. And still, I didn't pull away. I let loneliness and alcohol take control, leading me straight into the worst mistake of my life. When I woke up the next morning, the The full force of what I had done hit me like a punch to the chest. The aching in my body, the pounding in my head, none of it compared to the sickening dread settling in my stomach. Then I saw Russell lying next to me. His face turned away and my stomach twisted in horror. Panic took over. Vincent could never find out. I needed him. I couldn't survive on my own, not even at the most basic level. The thought of losing him, of shattering everything we had built, was unbearable. I scrambled to gather my clothes and left the room as quickly as possible. My mind raced, replaying scattered moments from the night before, each one making my chest tighten with regret. I hadn't planned for this. I never thought it would spiral, so far out of control. And yet, as much as I wished I could undo it, erase it completely, a dark, shameful part of me wanted to feel it again. When I stepped inside, our home, Vincent was in the kitchen, occupied with his morning drink. The sight of him filled me with an overwhelming urge to run into his arms, to confess everything. But I couldn't. My guilt was a prison of my own making, locking me in silence. I knew that if he ever found out, it would break him. It would destroy us. So I convinced myself that keeping the secret was an act of mercy, that I was sparing him from a pain he didn't deserve. And so the worst chapter of my life began. I forced myself to move as if nothing had changed, pretending to focus on breakfast while every part of me trembled with fear. Would he see it on my face? The betrayal, the shame, the weight of the truth pressing down on me. I felt like a stranger in my own skin, terrified that at any moment Vincent would look at me and just know. Every time Vincent looked at me, my gut twisted with guilt. But I forced myself to smile, to act normal. It was just a mistake. I told myself I can move on and he never has to know. But the remorse was unbearable. Every time Vincent asked how I was doing or flashed me one of his warm, familiar smiles, it felt like a knife to my heart. No matter how hard I tried to bury it, I couldn't stop thinking about Russell, or worse, the lingering, shameful longing for that night. At first, Vincent didn't seem to notice anything was off. He remained the same patient, kind husband he had always been. While I slowly pulled away, I brushed off his attempts at affection, avoided his gaze, and spent more time alone, convincing myself that distance would make it easier to hide the truth. But Vincent wasn't oblivious. He was perceptive. He noticed the shift in me quickly. "Are you okay?" he'd ask, searching my face. "You've been acting different." I'd shake my head, force a weak smile, and mumble something about headaches or exhaustion. But I saw the doubt creeping into his eyes, and the more I tried to ignore it, the more paranoid I became. I started overanalyzing everything, terrified that he would somehow figure out what I was thinking. Every time my phone rang, I panicked, afraid it was Russell or someone from that night. I deleted messages, avoided certain people, changed my routines, all in a desperate attempt to keep my secret buried. But secrets have a way of surfacing. It started with nausea. At first I dismissed it, maybe something I ate, but then it kept happening morning and night. And then I realized I was late. Too late. I tried to tell myself it was just stress, but deep down I already knew. At the grocery store, I grabbed a test, burying it under a pile of other items, hoping no one would notice. I avoided the cashier's gaze, paid quickly, and rushed home. My hands trembled as I unwrapped the test in the bathroom. Even though I already knew the answer, I sat there staring at the wall, my heart hammering in my chest as I waited. Then there it was. 2 pink lines, pregnant, and it wasn't Vincent's. I hadn't touched him in months. The weight of it crushed me heavier with every passing second. I could barely look at Vincent without feeling like I was going to be sick, not from the pregnancy, but from the overwhelming guilt. Of course, he noticed, Vincent was never someone you could fool. "You've been acting weird lately," he said over dinner one night, his voice casual, but his sharp eyes watching me closely. "Just tired," I muttered, pushing food around my plate. He didn't believe me, but he didn't press either. He just studied me, jaw tight before turning back to his meal. I knew him too well. He was filing it away, adding it to the growing list of things that didn't make sense. I kept telling myself I had time. Time to figure things out. Time to get rid of the test. Time to come up with a plan. But I was careless. In my panic, I had shoved the damn thing in my purse, meaning to throw it away later. Then I forgot. And just like that, my time ran out. It happened that night. I lay in bed, my back to Vincent, eyes wide open, staring at the wall. He wasn't asleep. I could tell his breathing wasn't deep or steady, and he shifted just enough for me to notice. Then I heard it, the soft rustle of my purse. My body went rigid, more rustling, a pause, then silence, the kind that makes your stomach drop, that makes the air feel too thick to breathe. I squeeze my eyes shut. Maybe if I stay still, maybe if I don't move, this won't be happening. Then his voice, low and cold, right behind me. What the hell is this? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Slowly, I turned over. He was standing beside the bed, the pregnancy test in his hand, cap off. 2 pink lines stared back at me, clear as day, like a neon sign flashing liar. I felt sick. My mouth went dry. My hands were numb. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Vincent let out a sharp, bitter laugh. You want to explain this to me? Or should I do the math myself? Vincent, don't. His voice cut through the air like a blade. His fingers curled around the test like he might snap it in half. His chest rose and fell, controlled but heavy, like he was holding something dangerous inside. Just tell me one thing. He leaned in closer, his jaw tight, his eyes locked onto mine. His voice was quieter now, steadier. Who's the father? My mouth opened, but my mind was already working, twisting. And then, just like that, anger flared in my chest. Not real anger, but the kind I knew how to use. The kind that could flip a situation, make the other person second-guess themselves. I sat up fast, threw off the covers, and scoffed, shaking my head. A sharp, bitter laugh escaped my lips like I was disgusted by his accusation. You're insane! I snapped. Who else could it be? Do you even hear yourself? But he didn't flinch, didn't even blink. He just stood there, so still it made my skin crawl. Then the corner of his mouth lifted just slightly, and I knew he wasn't buying it. Then he laughed. Not an angry laugh. Not a real one either. It was slow, quiet, full of something I couldn't place, and it made my stomach twist. You must think I'm an idiot, he murmured. I rolled my eyes, crossed my arms, threw more attitude his way. You're acting like one. I played my part. I was good at this. I had always been good at this. But then he leaned in, just enough to make me shift back against the pillows. He never touched me. He didn't have to. His voice was enough. He said he knew that he hadn't touched me in months, knew I was lying. And he told me to stop, told me to tell him whose baby I was carrying. Then his voice dropped lower, colder. If you don't tell me the truth, he said, you won't like what happens next. For a second I almost laughed, almost asked him what exactly he thought he was going to do. But then I saw his face. The smirk was gone. His eyes had hardened. And that's when I knew he wasn't bluffing. I didn't say a word, just sat there, arms crossed, jaw clenched, staring at him like I wasn't scared, like I wasn't feeling the ground shift beneath me. I wasn't going to give him what he wanted. He could threaten, he could demand, but I wasn't going to say his name. And that pissed him off. His hands curled into fists at his sides, his chest rising and falling like he was forcing himself to stay in control. He shook his head, scoffing like he couldn't believe me, like I was the lowest thing he'd ever seen. Then, without another word, he turned and walked out. The front door slammed so hard the walls shook. I sat there frozen, my heart pounding in my ears. He was gone. But where? To do what? I fidgeted, picking at my nails, chewing the inside of my cheek, my mind racing with possibilities. Was he going to find him? Was he going to make a scene? Was he going to come back even angrier? I had no answers. Eventually exhaustion took over. I must have fallen asleep like that, sitting up in bed, still fully dressed, my purse beside me. When I woke, the house was silent. I grabbed my phone, still half asleep, and that's when I saw it. A text from Vincent, be gone by the evening. I stared at the screen, my stomach twisting. Then it got worse. You disgust me. I can't even look at you. Be out of the house before I get back. The kids are staying. My lawyer already has the papers ready. If you want your little secret to stay hidden, don't contest custody. My whole body went cold. He meant it. This wasn't a threat. This wasn't a warning. This was a decision, a statement, a final nail in the coffin. And just like that, I knew. I had lost everything. I read the words over and over, my vision blurring, tears slipping down my face, no matter how hard I tried to stop them. My hands were shaking as I shoved clothes into a suitcase, not even knowing where I was going. Every few minutes I had to stop, press my palms against my face, force myself to breathe, to not completely break down. I told the kids I'd be gone for a few days, that Daddy would take care of them. I smiled, acted normal, hugged them tighter than usual. They were too young to question it, too innocent to understand what was really happening, and, God, did that make it worse? Once they were settled, I stepped outside, gripping my phone like it was my lifeline. I called Russell. No answer. I called again and again. By the fifth call, the number was blocked. Then a text popped up. Don't call me again. Your husband showed up. He knows. I stared at the screen, barely breathing before forcing myself to keep reading. He punched me hard. And now my girlfriend knows too. She's done with me. I lost everything because of you. Don't contact me again. My fingers trembled as I tried to call him back, but it went straight to voicemail. Blocked. I sucked in a sharp breath, my pulse racing. Everything was falling apart. No, not falling. Crumbling, burning down to nothing, leaving me with no way out. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, my card declined when I stopped to get gas. I tried again. Same result. A pit formed in my stomach as I hurriedly opened. My banking app. My fingers moving fast, desperate. And then I saw it. The joint account completely drained. Every last cent, the credit cards blocked. Vincent had cut me off. I clenched my jaw, blinking hard, refusing to let the panic take over. I didn't have time for that. I needed money, so I did the one thing I swore I wouldn't do. I called him. It rang twice before he picked up, and before I could even get a word out, he laughed. A real deep laugh. Let me guess, he said, voice dripping, with amusement. You're not calling for forgiveness, are you? You're calling for money. I swallowed my throat dry. Vincent, please. He cut me off, his voice turning cold. You really are something else. I closed my eyes, gripping the phone tighter. How did you find out? Maybe, just maybe, if I could figure that out, I could spin this, I could twist things, make him see it wasn't as bad as he thought. I could manipulate my way out of this, just like always. But he wasn't playing my game anymore. I knew something was off that night, he said, his voice dangerously steady. So, I asked around, and guess what? Someone saw you. He let out a slow, sharp breath like he was savoring the moment. They saw you walk into that room with Russell. My stomach dropped. He had put the pieces together, and before I could say anything, before I could twist it, flip it, try to turn it back on him, he hung up, blocked me, and just like that, I had nothing. Now sitting in this cramped, lifeless apartment, I can't help but feel like I got the short end of the stick. I mean, yes, I made a mistake. But was it really worth losing everything over? Was one night enough to erase all the years I spent as Vincent's wife, the mother of his children? He threw me out like I was nothing, like I never even existed. The silence is unbearable. No laughter from the kids, no sound of Vincent moving around the house. No shared life. Just me alone. Working a dead-end job that barely covers rent because, of course, I didn't get a dime from the divorce. I called Russell. No answer. I called again and again. By the fifth attempt, My number was blocked. Then a text popped up. "Don't call me again. Your husband showed up. He knows." I stared at the screen, barely breathing, forcing myself to read the rest. He hit me hard. And now my girlfriend knows too. She's done with me. I lost everything because of you. Don't contact me again. My fingers trembled as I tried calling him once more, but it went straight to voicemail. Blocked. I sucked in a sharp breath, my pulse hammering. Everything was falling apart. No, not just falling. Crumbling, burning down to nothing, leaving me stranded with no way out. And then, as if the universe wasn't done punishing me, my card declined when I stopped for gas. I tried again. Declined. A sinking feeling twisted in my stomach as I hurriedly opened my banking app, my fingers shaking. The joint account was empty, completely drained, every last cent gone. Credit cards blocked. Vincent had cut me off. I clenched my jaw, blinking, hard, refusing to let the panic take over. I didn't have time to break down. I needed money, so I did the one thing I swore I never would. I called him. It rang twice before he picked up. I barely got a word out before he laughed. Deep, amused, knowing. "Let me guess," he drawled. "You're not calling to apologize. You're calling for money." I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "Vincent, please." He cut me off, his voice turning ice cold. "You really are something else." I shut my eyes, gripping the phone tighter. "How did you find out?" Maybe, just maybe, if I could figure that out, I could spin it, twist things, make him see it. Wasn't as bad as he thought. Manipulate my way out of this, just like always. But he wasn't playing my game anymore. "I knew something was off that night," he said, his voice dangerously steady. "So, I asked around, and guess what? Turns out someone saw you. They watched you walk into that room with Russell." My stomach dropped. He had put the pieces together, and before I could twist it, flip it, turn it back on him, he hung up, blocked me, and just like that, I had nothing. Now, sitting in this cramped, lifeless apartment, I can't help but feel like I got the short end of the stick. Yes, I made a mistake. But was it really worth losing everything? Was one night enough to erase years of being Vincent's wife, the mother of his children? He threw me out like I was nothing, like I never existed. The silence is unbearable. No laughter from the kids, no sounds of Vincent moving around the house, no shared life. Just me alone working a dead-end job that barely covers rent because, of course, I didn't get a dime from the divorce. Turns out, cheating voids alimony, and Vincent made damn sure that Klaus was in the paperwork. His lawyers had me backed into a corner before I could even argue. Not that I had the energy to fight. He took everything. The house, the savings, the cars, left me with nothing but my clothes and the shame of being the woman who threw it all away. But the worst part? The kids. He didn't just take them, he made sure they didn't want to see me. I see it in their eyes when I visit. The hesitation, the way they don't run to me like they used to. Vincent has been poisoning them against me. I know it, and I can't do a damn thing about it. I tried finding a better job, but no one wants to hire a pregnant woman. So, I settled. A retail job that barely pays minimum wage. No maternity leave, of course. I can't afford time off, so I work through the sickness, the exhaustion, the endless ache of it all. The customers don't care. My manager doesn't care. And Russell gone. I reached out once, just once, and he ignored me like I was nothing more than a mistake he regretted. Like he didn't just ruin my life. Vincent won. He got everything. His money, his house, his freedom, his kids. And I got this a pathetic excuse for a home. A baby I never planned for. A life that feels like a punishment. And yet, I still catch myself thinking, maybe, just maybe Vincent will forgive me. Maybe one day he'll see how much I've suffered. Maybe he'll realize I've paid the price. Maybe he'll soften. even just a little. But I know better. Vincent doesn't forgive. He made it clear. I disgusted him. He wants nothing to do with me, and if I try to fight for the kids, he'll drag my name through the mud until I don't even have that left. So, I wait. I suffer. And I wonder how much longer I can keep going like this. I don't know why I expected anything different. Maybe some part of me thought time would soften things, that Vincent would stop hating me, that my kids would remember who I was to them. But no, if anything, it's gotten worse. They avoid me now. At first they were just distant, awkward, but now they barely even look at me. When I call, they make excuses. When I visit, they stay close to Vincent or his new fiancée. Yeah, new fiancée. Vincent moved on. Of course he did. Everything always falls into place for him. He's happy. And me? I'm rotting in this miserable excuse for a life. The worst part, my own daughter helped pick out the ring. She was so excited, so happy to have a new mommy. I almost dropped my phone. When I heard that, I thought, maybe I misheard. Maybe she didn't mean it like that. But she did. She doesn't even want to call me mommy anymore. That was the moment it really hit me. I'm being erased. Vincent is replacing me and my kids. They're letting him. They're happy about it. And for what? One mistake. One night. That's all it took for everything I did to mean nothing. I was a good wife, a good mother. I gave them years of my life. And now I'm supposed to just accept this. I don't think I did anything wrong enough to deserve this kind of suffering. One night doesn't erase everything I was, everything I did. But here I am, alone, forgotten, watching my life get handed to someone else like I was never part of it in the first place. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.